What's up, guys? Let me start this off by saying that, I know I jumped from the most recent raid in Destiny 2 to the first one released, but hey, you know what? That's alright. So let's get right into it. Leviathan is a Cabal raid on Nessus featuring 4 encounters. 3 of these encounters are Gauntlet, Dogs, and Baths, which rotate on a weekly basis, changing which order they come in. The 4th encounter is the final boss Callus, which never rotates, it's always the final encounter. Now let's get started with the encounters. Gauntlet is an interesting encounter where you are put into a room with 4 sections being Dog, Axis, Cup, and Sun. 2 of these sections will have a little pedestal sort of thing that spawns an orb for the runner once that phase starts. After killing waves of ads, the runner will pick up this orb and run the gauntlet until they make it all the way and slam the ball in the middle. You will then rinse and repeat until 3 waves have gone off, of which all the players will run all the balls through the gauntlet at the same time to hopefully have enough balls to complete the encounter. Now this encounter is my personal favorite. I personally love being the runner running through the gauntlet because, I'm just a fan of being fast and stuff, and just sitting in the little throne room areas, I'm just not a fan of it. And this encounter is nice and simple, and it literally just being kill ads and, run good and hopefully shoot the right thing. I'm going to go ahead and give this encounter an 8 out of 10 with how, just simple and nice it is, like I said. This encounter is very beginner friendly where, literally, again, as I said, it's literally just kill ads, maybe shoot a triangle or 2, or just run through the holes as well as you can. And that's all that I have to say about the gauntlet, and the next encounter is Dogs. In this encounter, you'll have 2 crystal holders and 4 ball runners. The crystal holders will use sunspots to shoot spores that the ball runners will all huddle next to it to get this empowering buff. And there are about 6 of these spores hidden all around this little arena that the crystal holders will have to call out and the ball runners will have to run to, and everybody has to huddle around them in order to get the most amount of buff that you possibly can from one spore. And after running to enough spores, everyone will alert the dogs and go to their own special dog, which will sit to its own spore and they'll deal damage. Now typically the team won't be able to do enough damage, so that they'll just kind of hurt the dog to about 75% of its HP, leaving just 25% left, and then they'll rinse and repeat that, and then in the next phase they'll kill the dog and the encounter will be over. Now this encounter is fairly simple, but it requires a bit more strategy than Gauntlet, seeing as you'll have to time your runs well. You'll have to make sure you don't get the dogs alerted too early. It's just a bit more difficult than Gauntlet. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 6 out of 10, since it can be glitchy with how the dogs walk and how they see you. It isn't it's pretty polished, but it could be a lot better. I've had many times where I don't even move, I'm behind a wall and it just says that the dogs have spotted me, of which then it lets my team yell at me for absolutely no reason. All of that, and since it's my review, I'm just gonna say I'm just not really the biggest fan of it. I don't mind being a ball runner, but the fact that it's so glitchy that it sometimes ruins the gameplay is a really big turnoff for me. And that's about it for Dogs. Now the next encounter is Baths. In this encounter, you'll have 3 people stand on each side, left and right. Now 2 people on each side will stand on these plates in this toxic water, and on those plates there will be a buff that will defend you from the water. The buff starts off with 50 stacks, but will go down by 1 stack each second you are in the water. As soon as you run out of buff, the water will start damaging you, which you have to get out of the water and get a new buff. Now while you're standing on these plates, there will be ads spawning, and eventually there will be a big bather that spawns in from this little hole near your plate, of which you'll have to do a little bit more damage to since it's just a little mini boss. After a bit, the rotator of your side, which is the one person that wasn't sitting on a plate, will pick up a buff from mid, run to your side, and replace you on the plate so that you can go into the middle, refresh your buff, go help your friend, of which he'll jump off, go refresh his buff, and blah blah blah. Now after a bit of doing this, the plates will click and everybody will run into the middle, where there will be this force of will damage pool in the middle, and these lanterns on the top of the room will open up and allow for damage. And there are 3 of these clusters of lanterns, and once they're all destroyed, the encounter will be done. Now this encounter, it's pretty alright and simple, but it's very easy to mess up if one person even just misses slight of foot. No, I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 5 out of 10. Simply because there may be a lot of ads, but the fact that you're just standing still is really a very big turnoff for me. Because if you couldn't already tell, I like encounters like Gauntlet where you literally have to run around doing stuff, and just like Dogs. But in this one, you're forced to sit on a plate and do damage to random ads, which is very boring. And that's about it for Baths, so next on, the last but not least, is Callus. In this encounter, you have to set 3 people for the Throne Room and 3 people for the Shadow Realm. As it starts off, you just have to kill a few waves of ads. And once those ads are dead, Callus will clap his hands 3 times and send everyone to the Shadow Realm. In the Shadow Realm, the 3 people that were designated for the Throne Room will pick up these orbs that look like the bust from Bass, and it'll teleport them back to the Throne Room. Now for the Shadow Realm, there'll be this Shadow Callus that is constantly inhaling you, pulling you towards the front of the room. Now what's stopping you from being pulled to the front of the room is these wind barricades. Keep in mind, if you ignore these wind barricades and just jump up and go towards Callus, you will die. Now the 3 people in the Shadow Realm will have 3 different symbols that pop up on Callus's forehead, and they will have to call that out for the Throne Room people so they can choose one of the 4 symbols on the little pedestals that isn't shown in the Shadow Realm to kill, which will create a new barricade and advance the phase. And like I said, if you do not create that wind barricade, you will be sucked up into Callus and you'll die. Now this will happen about 4 times, and then Callus will stop pulling everyone in the Shadow Realm, and skulls will start flying out of his mouth, and people will have to shoot them to get these Force of Will stacks. Now after that skull phase is done, and everyone will be teleported back to the Throne Room, and everyone will get on a plate, and the damage phase will start. As people are shooting Callus, he'll do his own sort of like attack every now and then. Typically whenever he does his attack, if it's later while you're standing on the plate, everybody will have to get off, wait for its attack to be done, and get on the next plate to start more DPS. And after enough damage plates, hopefully it'll be enough damage to kill Callus, and then everybody will go down, collect their loot for the end of the raid. Now this encounter is kind of wishy-washy because it can be really easy or really hard depending on how well your team can do it. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10. I like the encounter and what it brings, but it just can't be Gauntlet in my head. It's just one of those things that is just far too easy to mess up. And that's about it for Callus. And with that, brings the end of the raid. I hope you guys like this review. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree with my points. If you like it, don't like it, just let me know what's up. I might come back with another raid review, in the next few or so months, however long it's been since I've done the last review, but, we'll just have to see. But that's about it. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and, I'll catch you on the next one. Later.